Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm just going to wait for some people to tune in. Sorry, I'm tuning in late. It's like that some days, late start, but I'm just going to wait for some people to tune in. And while you're tuning in, definitely leave your name, say hi actually in the comments and tell me where you're tuning in from. Um, I am in Orlando, well, Lake Mary, which is the suburbs of Orlando area, Florida. And so that's where I'm tuning in from. So let me know that you can see me. Good morning on Instagram. Good morning on YouTube. Good morning on Facebook. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today, I just want to chat with you guys. Of course, I always have, a good topic. Oh, hi from Los Angeles. That is early, right? Because, it's like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock your time right now. That's super early. I'm Macedonas on Facebook from Washington. Super early too. You guys are early risers. Okay, so let me get started. And as always, guys, feel free to ask me questions that you might have in the comments. If I can answer them on live, I will answer them. You can, of course, always still schedule a consultation. If you want me to go into more detail about your matter, if it's confidential, I'll be happy to answer them. So you can put them in, answer them once I finish talking about what I want to talk about. So don't think I'm ignoring you. So let me introduce myself for first time, viewers or people that are just tuning into any of my channels. My name is Ayesha Chidolue. I'm an immigration attorney in the Orlando area, Florida, but I practice in all 50 states. And what does that mean? I take clients in every state here as long as it pertains to family immigration. So you can share this video before we continue, especially those of you on Facebook, share this with your people so they can come and tune in. If, any of this applies to them, share with your cousins, your mamas, your aunties, whoever. Okay. So today I want to talk about children that might fall under Vawa. So a quick brief description of Vawa, because, I know a couple of people have asked me that in messages this week. What is Vawa? Hi, Njoma. Thanks for tuning in on Instagram. So Vawa basically stands for Violence Against Women's Act. So I know that the name says women's in it, but this act or this policy is not just for women. It's for women. It's for children. It's for guys. It doesn't matter what your gender is, and you can be a parent or you can be a child. Basically, the idea of the act is that it protects non-citizens from abuse from their either U.S. citizen or green card holder. So if you are married to a U.S. citizen or a green card holder and you experience extreme cruelty or, abuse, you could potentially qualify. If you're a child or a stepchild who your parents got married before you turned 18, are experiencing that, and your step parent is a U.S. citizen or a green card, you can qualify. If you're a parent, you will only qualify if the child is a U.S. citizen. And one of the good things about VAWA is that it doesn't matter how you came into the country, so whether or not you came via visa or you came by whatever means, if you qualify, you'll be eligible to adjust your status within the United States. So that's what VAWA is. So what I wanted to talk about was who qualifies when one person qualifies. So a lot of times when a spouse comes to me and, they say I tell them they qualify, they always want to know, well, what about our kids? What about my kids? I have kids, they don't have their papers, but they don't live here. They live in another country. They live in, Jamaica, Ghana, wherever, whatever country. So one of the good things about VAWA is that if you have any children that are non-U.S. citizens and under the age of 21, at the time you file your VAWA, both you and your children will be put together to qualify. You as the principal, meaning the main person, and your children will be considered derivatives. So how they do this is that when you submit a VAWA petition, if they feel that your case, you've met the bare minimum requirements and you can move to the next stage. They give you what we call a prima facie determination letter. So usually in the prima facie determination letter, it will basically grant you that prima facie for 1 year. So it's going to list both you and both your children in there, so that when you get a renewal, the same thing will happen. And when you get an approval for your VAWA portion, it will approve both of you. So now the question is, what happens if your kids are in America versus if your kids are outside the country? So the process is different. So if your kids are in America, one of the things I always recommend, if you're married to a US citizen or if you're married to a green card holder and there's a visa available, is to do what we call an adjustment of status together at the same time. Let me simplify that. So VAWA is a separate petition from a green card petition. If the person, usually when someone qualifies for VAWA here and they qualify to adjust their status, we apply at the same time, because it shortens the process. So that allows you to get your green card at the end of the process, and somewhere in between, get your work permit and your travel permit. So if your children are here and you qualify for adjustment of status, we always try to also apply for the children if the client wants to apply for the children, so that everybody can get their green card at the same time. Sometimes some people are like, well, let me just finish my own process. I'll apply for my children once I finish my own process. You can certainly do that. Obviously, I always encourage people, apply for you and your children at the same time, because that's what I would do. So this is me talking in a non-lawyer hat. There's no way I'm getting any benefits that I'm not giving my kids. So we'll apply at the same time. So when I say apply at the same time, remember the VAWA portion is automatic, meaning whether or not you apply with your children or not, the VAWA portion, if they're not citizens and they're under 21, they will be approved at the same time. The part which I'm talking about here is the adjustment of status. That is the I-485 that actually gives you the green card. So normally I always recommend, if your children are eligible to adjust their status at the same time as you are while they're living here, do everybody's together. Now, if your children are outside the country, when you apply, you will get that prima facie determination letter that I mentioned earlier, okay? And your kids will be listed. So how their own process works is that we have to wait for you to get approved. Once you get approved, then we can then take the approval and file with USCIS, and then do an NVC. Well, let me use simpler terms. Basically, we can then transfer the case to finish up the children's petitions in whatever country you are in, and then they go through a consular processing, and that's how they get their own green card to come here. So that's how it works for children. So for the VAWA portion, it's automatic. If they are under 21, there's nothing else that you need to do, as long as they ask you, what are the names of your children? Where do they live and where were they born? As long as they see they were not born in the United States, they will be listed on the prima facie determination letter. The only difference is whether or not you're filing an adjustment of status application for them in America, or you're waiting for your own approval to do that. I'm sure some people have the question about, what about if you're over 21. So if you're over 21, unfortunately, you're not going to qualify as a derivative. So what will happen in that case is that when your parent gets approved, then the parent is going to have to apply as a green card holder for that child that's over 21 that is unmarried. Because remember, green card holders can't file for married children. The children have to be unmarried. The only thing that sucks about that is, of course, you're going to have to wait, 5 to 6 years for that person's process to be completed, just because now you have to get on the visa line and wait till a visa is available. Okay, guys, so that's really it about children who qualify under their parents. I'm going to take questions. Ooh, I have people from all over. I have some here from Utah. Where's that person? Tina, thanks for tuning in from Utah. And then watching Amelu, thanks for tuning in from Texas. Good morning from Georgia. Okay, so let me take some questions. I have my friend, she got married to a US citizen 22 months ago, and now she wants to put her paperwork Is she going to get a 10-year green card or a 2-year green card? So the odds are that she will probably get a 10-year green card if she's approved. So for those who don't know, basically the question he's asking is that when somebody has been married for a certain period of time, you typically will either get a conditional green card or a permanent green card. A conditional green card is a 2-year temporary green card. A permanent green card is a 10-year unlimited green card that you can either renew or you can file for U.S. citizenship. So basically, at the time, the way they make the decision is at the time of your interview. So in this person's question, where they've been married for 22 months, at the time of their interview, the odds are that they would have been married for more than 24 months. So at that time, if they approve you, then you will get a 10-year green card. But if you were, let's say, married, like, the same month you were married, and you filed your application, the odds are by the time you schedule your interview and you get approved, you're probably going to be married for less than 2 years. And if that's the case, you get a conditional green card. And so 90 days before the 2-year anniversary of that green card, you want to apply for removal of condition. But keep in mind, though, that removing your condition is quite tough. So, don't think that, oh, I got a conditional green card, I'm going to go coast, I'm going to chill, I'm going to file for divorce or whatever. You want to still continue to show that you have a bona fide and a legitimate marriage, because you're going to want to see evidence and proof that you continued your marriage in good faith after you got your green card. And certain things that they would have allowed you to get away with prior to you getting your original green card, they're not going to let you get away with it if you have a conditional green card. You can't say, oh, we don't have an account because I don't have a social security or because I don't work, because they feel like, you're a green card holder. So you should have been able to acquire things with your spouse at this point. So make sure that you continue to show your marriage until you get your 10-year green card, and then, you can do whatever you want to do, except getting arrested so you can get your citizenship. Okay, so let me see what other questions. So somebody here asked, Veronica, thanks for tuning in. She said, what happens if you don't get your prima facie determination letter? Well, if you don't get a prima facie determination letter, that's not good. That's not good, because basically they're saying that you've not met your initial burden to even continue your case. Sometimes what will then happen is that you'll get a request for additional evidence, and you would have to prove whatever it is. And so, VAWA has different categories where you're looking at, good faith marriage, proof of cohabitation, and good moral character, and proof of abuse. Those are the 4 core things that need to be shown. So if you don't get a prima facie, it's because one of those things don't add up. And if one of those things don't add up, it's not a good sign. So hopefully you get it if you apply. Okay, so this person is asking, my question is, if someone filed for VAWA, I want to know how long the process can take to be completely finished. Honestly, the answer really varies. Prior to the pandemic, we kind of had more certain or definitive timelines. But right now, it's taken anywhere from 2 to 2.5 years. So let me just sort of give you sort of like the life cycle. Like I mentioned, the life cycle of a VAWA application is, you submit your application, you get your receipt notices, in a couple of weeks, and then you get your request for biometrics if you don't have anything at all in the USCIS immigration system, meaning that you've never petitioned for anything at all. If you've petitioned for something before, right now, because of the pandemic, they might bypass your biometrics. What that means bypassing is they'll say you don't need to do biometrics, you can use your old records, okay? And then the next thing is somewhere between, 3 months to 5 months, you get a prima facie determination letter if they feel that you've met your, basic burden. And then somewhere after that, if you filed for adjustment of status and work permit and travel permit at the same time as you filed your VAWA, then you get a work permit, somewhere between 6 to 8 months, 6 to 9 months. Let me just put it that way. And then after that, you get your approval. Okay, if you're going to be approved, and then there are several stages to the approval. So the first stage is you get a new work permit. So this is a new, so if you requested a work permit based on a VAWA approval, you'll get a new work permit. So the work permit that you normally get when you first file for a petition, that one just shows that you have a pending application. But the one you get at the end here is basically saying that your VAWA application has been approved. So we're giving you this work permit, and in a couple of months, will give you the formal VAWA approval. And then once you get the formal VAWA approval, two things could happen. They could either call you for an interview to make sure that you're admissible into the United States to get your green card, or sometimes they could bypass and ask you for just to submit your medical and approve you. So that's kind of how the life cycle works. And your approval for VAWA, regardless of how long you've been married or whether you're divorced when you file VAWA, is usually a 10-year green card. You're not going to be getting a conditional green card. Oh, good morning to this person from YouTube. I love to see YouTube people here. I feel like I neglect you guys, but I'm glad to see you. Hi, Marie. Thanks for tuning in from Jacksonville. Okay, so let me take some questions on Instagram. How long does USCIS take to schedule for a green card interview, and how do you get a 10-year? So the question is, it depends. Every field office is different. I have clients where we filed since June, and June of last year, we've not been scheduled for an interview. And I have clients who we filed in January, and we have an interview today as we speak, right? So of course I want all my clients to be in that luck or in that variation where they're in the 4-month period, but is that reality? No. Majority of the people, it takes 12 to 15 months, so a lot of times it depends on how busy your field office is, the population of immigrants, in that field office, and, or that are applying in that field office. So it just really very dependent. And it also depends on if you submitted the correct application in the first place. If you didn't submit the correct application in the first place and they keep going back and forth requesting additional evidence, that will also prolong your time, which is why it is critical. I can't stress this enough. It's just like you have something wrong with your health, you go to a doctor because that is something that is important to you. And that is how you should look at immigration. Don't look at it at, oh, I don't want to spend money on a lawyer. Oh, I don't want to spend. This is for you. You're not spending money for us. You're spending money to change your own life and the life of your children. So if you don't, because people think, oh, it's just filling out a form. Immigration law is one of the most complex laws, which is why a lot of people that self-petition get denied. Are there people that get approved? Yeah, but I'll prefer for people to come to me when they've not been denied and they're being threatened for deportation, so we can get it right on the first try. So take it seriously and do it the correct way. So yeah, and then the same person asks, and how do you get a 10-year? I just talked about it earlier. I'll save the video on Instagram so you can listen to it. It has to do with time of marriage. So on the day of your interview, if you've been married for less than 2 years, you will get a 2-year. If you've been married for more than 2 years, you'll get a 10-year. Okay, so let me answer the other questions. Sumto says, when are you going to talk about EB2s? I don't handle EB2s, so that's why I don't talk about it. But I'm happy to refer you to somebody if you need someone to be referred to. Attorney, good morning. My question is, how is the VAWA process your papers when you submit your documents? I'm not sure I understand the question. What do you mean, how do they process it? The same way that they process other documents. You mean where it goes? VAWA goes to a VAWA unit, so it's different from a typical petition that goes to certain other locations. Let's see. Okay, so this person here says on Facebook, says Tamika says, hi, I'm not. Sorry, guys, let me just keep scrolling. Hi, I'm not on the lease of my husband, and I am doing a VAWA. We were living with his brother and paying cash. Can he just write a letter to say that we were living there and we were paying cash? I mean, well, the first question is, who does the brother have allegiance to? Filing a VAWA petition is a serious petition because you're alleging that the person has been extremely cruel or abusive to you. So the question is his brother going to be willing to do that for you? If his own if it's related to his own brother, or is that something you even want him to be privy to, if that could potentially affect your case. When I deal with VAWA cases, I always tell clients, look, there are crazy spouses all the time. Do not communicate this with your spouse. Do not use it as something to dangle on them because, people are crazy. You just don't know what your spouse will do. So keep it to yourself. I would say that you can write that in your declaration and explain the reason why you don't have a lease, because you lived with the brother. I mean, I think it is perfectly understandable why you're not going to ask the brother of the person that's being extremely cruel to you to write you a letter. So you will just have to provide other evidence to show cohabitation, and hopefully they believe your word. Okay. Tamika says, also my lawyer says she needs some more characters letter to prove my marriage is real, but she also told me I need a lot of letters. How much is it that? Well, if you already have a lawyer, Tamika, definitely listen to the advice of your lawyer. I mean, I don't know your case, so I can't give you specifics, on your case or what is needed for your case without me seeing what, is being submitted. But of course, as much stuff, as many credible evidence as you can send that's available to you, I always definitely suggest sending those. Okay, so let's see. Hi, PJ from West Palm Beach. Fatal says, I've been a permanent resident since 2017. When should I apply for my citizenship? Well, congratulations. Let me do the math. 18, 19, 20, 21. So it depends on how you got your permanent resident. If you got your permanent resident through marriage and you are still married right now, you are eligible. As long as you're still married and still, with your spouse living together, you can file right now, because with that, you just only have to wait 3 years. If you're no longer married and you're divorced and you got it through marriage, you got to wait 5 years. Every other category, you have to wait 5 years. However, if you get your green card through Vawa, you only have to wait 3 years. So let's say you got yours through Vawa, you're eligible to file. But remember, being eligible to file doesn't mean that you're eligible to naturalize, because you're still going to have to go through the process to make sure that you are an eligible candidate to become a United States citizen. Again, this is another example of where on the surface, the form looks simple, just asking, what's your name, where have you lived, where have you lived, where have you done this, but it is very difficult, as anybody that has naturalized will tell you, to become a U.S. citizen, because then they dig in deeper, and certain things that were allowed will no longer be allowed. Like, you want to make sure you don't have any back taxes, you want to make sure you don't have any criminal records, you want to make sure that you don't have back child support. You want to make sure that if you were between the ages of 18 and 26, if you were male, when you got your green card, that you signed up for selective service and things like that. Okay, so Kenzie says, I filed for VAWA while on removal proceedings, but now they're about to remove me from the USA while the VAWA application is still pending. My case hearing is coming up on July 26th. Is what advice? Yeah, you need a lawyer if you don't have one. To attend, depends on what your hearing on July 26th is. Is it a master or individual hearing? So you definitely need a lawyer. I'm not taking removal cases right now, so you definitely want to get a removal attorney that's handling removals, because you want to make sure that they can take your prima facie. Hopefully you got a prima facie determination letter with your VAWA. They can take that and ask for a continuance, until they make a decision on your VAWA. Okay. Someone says, how long before I receive a response from USCIS if my green card expires in 10 days? What do you mean, how long does it take? What did you send to the USCIS? Are you talking about if you sent for renewal, or what are you asking? Someone says, can someone who's out of status do an advanced parole combination card? So the way advanced parole works, so even if you're out of status, when you're out of status, and you're considered an immediate relative, you can file your petition and do an adjustment of status and an advanced parole and work permits while you're within the United States, who are immediate families. So parents of U.S. citizens, children under 21 of U.S. citizens, and spouses of U.S. citizens. Everybody else, green card holders, everybody else over that, they qualify as what am I trying to say? They qualify as immediate, they don't qualify as family preference category. So what that means is that you must be in status to be able to petition in the United States. For most of those people, if they're out of status when they file, they either have to wait till the other person becomes a U.S. citizen, or they have to request a hardship waiver to be able to do it. For you, if you filed based on being married to a U.S. citizen, you can file for a travel authorization and work permit. In the past, they always used to give one combo card. As of this year, we're seeing something a little different, and I don't know if it's COVID related or if it's just a new way they want to do it. For some people, they get a combo card, and for some other of my clients, they will get two separate documents, a card for their work permit and a paper document with the I-9 form picture stamped for their travel authorization. It doesn't matter whether you get it in one card or as two different documents, they serve the same purpose. Okay. So Armando says removal of conditions. Let me go back. Oh, I know who this is. How long before I get a response? Okay, so for conditional green cards, it's actually taken a little bit of a long time to get filing receipts. We're seeing filing receipts about 6 to 8 weeks from when you file, but that's fine as long as your stuff is already in the system. And then when you get your receipt will have your extension to 18 months. So that's fine. They said, can they ask you to leave the country if you file Vawa? Trying to understand why she would have to leave until her case. I don't know what you're asking about. Are you asking about somebody else? She says, Charmaine says, my son is 6. Can he file for DACA? Well, DACA has quite a strong list of requirements and age requirements when you entered into the United States. So that's too long for me to go over. You can certainly call me to schedule a consultation for 7995-6567 to see if he qualifies. But based on his age, he might not. But call me. Let's see. Good morning. What if you submitted your paperwork and USCIS saw that you have worked here without authorization because your lawyer submitted documents that proved will you still be able to get a green card? So the question is, it really depends. It really depends on what you're applying. So if you're applying because you're married to a U.S. citizen, I don't recommend you lie. If you worked, you say you worked. So a lot of times they will forgive if you worked under the table if you were married to a U.S. citizen, but not if you were married to a green card holder, right? And the biggest thing that you want to worry about is to make sure that you never claimed to be a U.S. citizen or impersonated or used somebody else's social security number. Those are the two big things. If you didn't do any of those two things, and let's say you worked and you used an ITIN or something like that, you'll be fine if you're married to a U.S. citizen, okay? So Kansas says, how long does prima facie take to come out? I filed since January 21st. That's definitely delayed, Kenzie. I'll consider that delayed. So it's February, March, April. By now you should be getting it. Hopefully you get it by next month. But that's usually it takes about I say 3 to 4 months. 3 to 4 months. So hopefully. Can you guys see me? I don't know what happened. Facebook and YouTube. Can you guys see me? If you guys can see me, can you just comment? Because I blacked out. My screen just went blank and it said I had connection issues. So I don't know what's going on. But I was answering. Oh, okay, you guys can see me. Great. So yeah, so Kenzie, what I was saying was, hopefully you'll get your prima facie if you presented a good case in the next couple of weeks, because it will be good. I believe you're the one who said that you were in removal, right? Let me scroll up and see. Yeah, because you want to have that before your proceedings on July, and if you have that, most likely, if they're nice, all those things is based on judge discretion, but um, if you have that prima facie, they'll at least let you, hopefully, knock on wood, wait till they make a decision before they decide what they want to do with you. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Top notch. Others says, okay, then thank you very much. I wish I used you instead of my lawyer. Oh, but it's all my husband's fault. I didn't want to use them from day one. Oh, it's okay. I mean, there's so many good lawyers, and hopefully that person is a good lawyer and they can get you guys what you need, but it happens. Okay, somebody says, good morning. If you're waiting on USCIS to remove your conditions on your green card and your husband wants to divorce you, can he divorce you? He can divorce you. At the end of the day, immigration understands that not all marriages are perfect. Whether or not you're filing for immigration or not, it doesn't change the fact that some marriages have problems. So if your husband divorces you, by the time you get scheduled, the two things that you can do, you can either send an amendment to your application stating that you would like to convert to your filing for removal based on a divorce, so you're requesting a waiver of the joint requirements, or you can present that at the time that you're scheduled for an interview. Again, even though you can be divorced or you can show extreme cruelty, and abusing your marriage, one of the key things with removing conditions on a green card is you still want to be able to show that you had a legitimate marriage. It's just that it didn't work out. So that's fine. Don't be so afraid of divorce. So Armando said I was referencing Kenzie. Okay, so I answered that, and you should have the answer. Okay, you guys can see me on Instagram. Awesome. Do you guys have any other questions before I jump off? Let's see if I got everything in. I know, like, my internet today is like very spotty. I can see the stuff going in and out. Okay, guys, if you don't have any other questions, thank you so much for tuning into my live, and I will see you next week. All right, bye.